In the heart of Ghana's cocoa empire, a billionaire lies in silence, but he's not dead. His name is Kweku Sarpong, a self-made tycoon, feared by rivals, worshipped by politicians, and forgotten by his own blood. When whispers of his mysterious illness spread, his children fly in from across the globe, not to pray, but to pray. But what they don't know is that the chairman is watching. Secret cameras, hidden microphones, and a trap so masterfully set, it will expose betrayal, greed, and one devastating truth. And just when the vultures begin to circle, someone unexpected arrives. A village girl with nothing to her name, but the one thing money can't buy: loyalty. This isn't just a family drama. This is a game of deception, inheritance, and the final test of love. Welcome to Chairman's Devious Plan. Why do walls remember more than children? Kweku Sarpong muttered as he stared at the golden-framed portrait of his late wife, Abina. Her warm eyes looked down at him from above the marble fireplace. Forever gentle, forever silent. The Sarpong mansion, nestled in the hills of Aburi, was a palace of success, but it had become a mausoleum of memories. Chandeliers sparkled, servants bowed, and exotic birds chirped in the backyard aviary. But not a single soul had asked how Chairman Sarpong was truly doing. Not even his own children. At 68, Kweku had built an empire from the ground up, starting as a barefoot cocoa farmer in the dusty village of Kwahutafo, then clawing his way into the global market. Now he owned Sarpong Exports Limited, the largest cocoa export company in West Africa. But in recent years, he watched his 4 children trade respect for Rolexes, humility for hashtags, and his legacy for Louis Vuitton. Ya, the oldest, lived in Dubai and styled himself as a crypto mogul on Instagram. Adwoa, his only daughter, ran a fashion label that hadn't made a single profit but had been featured in Vogue Ghana. Kojo, the philanthropist, ran a charity with no registered paperwork. And Kweku Jr., well, no one really knew what Jr. did, but he was always tagged in beach parties and jet ski reels on TikTok. They only called when they needed something. Tuition, bail money, luxury cars. Never a simple, "How are you, Papa?" The last time they had all been in Ghana was when their mother died. But tonight, something stirred inside Kweku. As he swirled his glass of palm wine, his eyes narrowed. They want to act like I'm already dead? Let's see how they behave when they think I really am. A wicked grin crept across his face. And so, Chairman Sarpong's devious plan was born. 2 days later, all hell broke loose in the family WhatsApp group. "Papa collapsed this morning," texted ESI, the loyal housekeeper. Her message followed by a photo of Kweku Sarpong lying dramatically on the leather sofa, an oxygen mask strapped to his face and a drip attached to his arm. "The doctor says it's serious. Please come home immediately." Kojo's reply came first. "Yai? What kind of collapse? Is it the heart? Stroke? I'm booking a flight from London now." Then Adwoa, "Oh my God. No one told me he was even sick. Why didn't you say anything sooner, ESI? This is not fair." "Y'all ever the suspicious one?" asked. "How bad is it really? Should we get specialists from Dubai or Germany? Send me the doctor's report first." And finally, Junior simply replied with a crying emoji. That was his entire contribution. As always, ESI looked up from her phone and glanced at the man lying perfectly still under a cashmere blanket. "Sir," she whispered, "they're all coming." Kweku slowly pulled the oxygen mask down, grinning like a child who just pranked the entire school. Perfect. The vultures smell the carcass. Dr. Cardi, his old friend and personal physician, stood at the foot of the bed, stifling a chuckle. You're sure about this, Chairman? You want them to believe you're dying? Kweku nodded. If they only come for my casket, let them come now while I'm still warm. Behind the one-way mirror in his study, hidden cameras were already rolling. The security technician had installed the surveillance system under the pretense of upgrading the home automation system. Every room, every whisper would be recorded. As ESI helped Kweku into a wheelchair, he whispered, "Let the games begin." And so they did. Flights were booked. Designer luggage was packed. Heels, suits, and gold chains glimmered in the sun. The prodigal children were coming home, not for love, for war. The Sarpong estate hadn't seen this much excitement since the funeral of Madame Abina. Luxury cars lined the driveway like a showroom, Range Rovers, Benz G-Wagons, even a matte black Lamborghini that Junior somehow got his hands on. The house staff whispered among themselves, "Ah, see how they're dressed like it's a red carpet. Not their father's deathbed." Yo was the first to arrive. Clad in designer kaftan and dark shades, he walked in like a man inspecting real estate, not visiting a dying father. He embraced no one, only glanced at the mansion's interior and said, Papa hasn't changed anything. Same old chairs, same old smell of Ghana." Behind him came Adwoa, her entrance dramatic as expected. She wore all white with flowing lace sleeves and a gold necklace bearing the initials S. She walked straight to the mirror in the foyer to check her makeup. "SI," she snapped. "Please get me some chamomile tea. All this travel is giving me a headache." Kojo entered with the swagger of a politician. He was already on the phone, pacing and saying things like, "I don't care what the donors say. Move the funds to the offshore account. I'm handling family matters now." He blew air kisses to his siblings and winked at Adwoa. Time to get the inheritance show on the road. Junior, as usual, came last, wearing shorts and slippers with mismatched socks. He looked around, confused. Where's the buffet?" None of them asked how their father was. Not one. In the hidden study, Kweku watched the scene unfold like a Nollywood movie. He shook his head in disappointment. "Not even a tear," he murmured. But just as he was about to turn off the monitor, the front gate buzzed again. A taxi pulled up. No flashy car.
No lagi.
And from it stepped a young woman in simple Ankara Ama, his niece. She had grown. Her braids were neat, her eyes warm but sharp. She looked up at the mansion with a hesitant breath and whispered, "Uncle, I heard you were sick. I came to be with you." Kweku froze. "Ama," he said aloud. "After all these years." She remembered. Ama's arrival shifted the air in the mansion like unexpected rainfall during Harmattan. SI greeted her warmly, eyes lighting up.
"Ama."
"Aye, you look just like your mother."
Komein. Ama boyet her hid respectfully.
"Auntie SI, I came as soon as I heard. Please, where's Uncle Kweku?" "In his room," ESI said, carefully watching Ama's expression. "He hasn't spoken in a while. The doctor says it's serious." Ama didn't ask for tea. She didn't pose for selfies by the garden. She simply nodded, took off her sandals at the door, and walked barefoot through the house she once called home. Meanwhile, in the sitting room, chaos had begun to simmer. Yaw threw a file on the glass table. "This is the updated ownership proposal. Papa should transfer his shares to the Sarpong Foundation. I'll oversee it until the inevitable. Kojo raised an eyebrow. Ah, you mean you'll control the Cocoa Empire and we'll clap for you? Adwoa tossed her curls and scoffed. Please, this is not Game of Thrones. We need equal division. Daddy loved me the most. Everyone knows that. Junior sat cross-legged on the sofa, munching chinchinga. You people can fight. Me, I just want the Accra mansion and maybe his Rolex collection. None of them noticed Amma pass by quietly, heading to the master bedroom. Inside, Kweku sat upright in his wheelchair, fully aware of her presence. The cameras were off now. He wanted to see her, really see her. Amma entered and gasped. Uncle! Kweku smiled faintly. I knew you'd come, my daughter. She knelt beside him and took his hand. You shouldn't be alone. And yet, Kweku said bitterly, alone is what I've been for years. Amma looked at him, eyes glistening. I don't want anything, uncle. I just want you to get better. That's all. Kweku squeezed her hand. For the first time in years, he felt the warmth of family. Not greed, not performance. Just love. And yet, deep inside he knew, this game had only just begun. Because there was a secret only he and Dr. Carty knew. And when the will was read, the real storm would strike. By the end of the week, Chairman Sarpong's health had mysteriously worsened. He no longer spoke. He no longer responded. At least that's what everyone believed. In truth, he was watching, recording every whisper, every greedy glance, every secret alliance. Junior and Kojo were secretly negotiating a backdoor sale of company shares to a foreign investor. Yo had already drafted a new company structure with himself as CEO. And Adwoa? She had hired a private lawyer to get a head start on contesting the will, before it was even announced. But one night, Kweku Sarpong called his lawyer and made a quiet request. The next morning, the family was summoned to the Grand Hall. Dr. Carty stood solemnly at the front. As you all know, Chairman Sarpong's condition has deteriorated. He has requested that, in the likely event of his passing, his final will be read today. A hushed gasp swept the room. He leaned forward, smirking. About time. Amma sat quietly, her hands folded, her eyes more anxious than expectant. The lawyer opened a leather briefcase, pulled out a thick envelope, and began to read. To my beloved children, Ya, Adwoa, Kojo, and Junior, I have watched you all grow into adults. But sadly, I've also watched you forget the values I built this family upon. Honor, hard work, love. You have become strangers to my suffering and only friends to my fortune. Therefore, I bequeath to each of you a trust fund of 10,000 Ghanaian cedis to help you start afresh. The same way I did, barefoot and broke. Pandemonium exploded. 10,000? Kojo barked. Is this a joke? Adwoa screamed. You stood, voice trembling. We gave you our lives, Papa. Junior looked genuinely confused. Wait, we're poor now? The lawyer raised his hand. Silence. There is more. To my niece, Amma, who reminded me of everything I had forgotten in my old age, who sat by my side not for gain but for love, I leave the majority shares of Sarpong Exports Limited, the Aburi Mansion, and all associated assets. You could hear a pin drop. Amma's hands flew to her mouth. No. I didn't ask for, but before she could finish, the grand double doors flung open, and in rolled Chairman Sarpong in his wheelchair. Alive, breathing, and smiling. What is this, Nollywood? Adwoa shrieked. Good to see you all again, Kweku said calmly. Especially when there's money on the table. You faked your own death? Ya stammered. No, Kweku said. Just a small illness. You all were the ones who buried me while I was still alive. He turned to Amma and smiled. She is the only one who truly came back for me, not my bank account. The children shouted, threatened, cursed. But it was over. The will was legal. The cameras had recorded everything. Even the lawyer had known the truth all along.
Amma wept.
Uncle, I don't know what to say. Say nothing, my dear, Kweku said, placing a hand over hers. Just run this empire with your heart, the way your aunt and I built it. And so, the vultures flew away in fury, and a phoenix rose from the ashes of greed. Amma, the humble niece from the village, now the heir of a billion-cedi legacy. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take from this dramatic tale? We love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button and subscribe to African Tales by Elian. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our latest update. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe and stay blessed.